Bueno, dímelo, mi gente. Another episode. Want to thank each and every one of you guys for the support. Once again, it's crazy the love that we've been getting, the love that the guests have been here of getting. When they share their stories, y'all have no idea. They've been calling, saying they're thanking each and every one of you guys. There's like the phone calls that we getting is amazing. Y'all sharing y'all stories. The feedback has been received very well. I appreciate the support. Tonight, we have a guest. I don't even know how this happened. I ain't gonna be honest. It was intense. I was like, this ain't gonna happen. I gonna be honest. I was like, this ain't gonna happen. But he's here. Guys, y'all know the face. Y'all see him on the mic. Y'all see him on the screens. Y'all see him everywhere. Y'all hear his voices on the radio. The voice of the VI, Mr. Rashidi himself.
What it do?
What's going on, man?
I'm good. Pleasure to be here, brother.
Man, thank you so much for coming on here. I truly appreciate this opportunity that you've given me to be able to share your story with the VI and abroad.
Yeah, man. Well, I here for it. My story is your story, brother.
I mean, so how it was, question, you grew up in St. Croix, St. Thomas. How was the beginnings of Mr. Rashidi himself?
Yeah, I grew up in St. Croix. My mom is from St. Thomas. So, yeah, definitely, man. St. Croix is my pride and joy. I do live in St. Thomas now.
Okay.
Started Vivid Streaming.
Yes.
Started at I-95, went to 105. Started my own thing. And kind of built my thing based on what I thought was lacking in the previous environments I was in. So my thing has always been about uniting VI people, uniting the islands.
Nice.
I tell people all the time, like, I get a lot of love. Like, I could go to Tatol and I feel like home, like, literally, like, not just saying that.
I can imagine.
St. Thomas, and of course, home is home. But, you know what I mean? Yeah, love is good, but support is what it's all about.
So, my boy is a Crucian baby. Born on the islands. Big up to mommy in Iraq.
Yes, sir.
So, growing up here, you went to school. You had your growing up. When you was in school, by any chance, did the whole media thing was already a thing in your mind? Like, was that an influence throughout school? How did you begin this whole media process of presenter and everything that we all know you for?
Really and truly, like nothing has ever been planned. Like everything that came my way just kind of was like clandestine. Like I didn't really say I was gonna study media. I wasn't a journalism major. I actually was a spokesperson for an incident at the University of the Virgin Islands. Led a protest, a boycott, whatever it was, and
Nice.
it became a place where I decided, well, if what we were fighting for ain't coming back, I ain't coming back. And my last interview with the Daily News, I said, hey, I gonna need a job. I ain't going back to school. And I started writing for the Daily News from there. And then that transitioned into writing for the Avis. Because of the same protest, the first Virgin Islander to play in the major leagues took notice and invited me to be on his sports television talk show, which is Valmy Thomas.
Big ups and shout outs to the whole family.
Yeah, man. And I mean, and it just kind of grew from there and started doing sports talk radio. I did an interview to promote an event at Aisle 95. The owner thought it was funny and offered me a job the next week. And that's how we all began.
Shout outs to Jonathan Cohen and everybody else. We did, yeah, you have a lot of a journey. I think Rainey, the Baba,
Yeah.
when he was here on his interview, he did mention that you was a part of his growing when the barbering scene, when you took over the barbershop, and that you opened his eyes to a lot of stuff. I just wanted to bring that out here because you have influenced a lot of people in a lot of good ways. And look where Rainey's at now,
Yeah,
you
man.
know?
I'm super proud of Rennie.
Amen. Halloween.
Yeah, for sure. And I do things with him. Like we Three Kings, we're giving away some toys again for Christmas with the Tim Duncan Foundation and of course Rennie. And you know, along the way, I've had the opportunity. like for me, this opportunity. Paul Martinez.
Yeah, shout out Ears Are Us.
Now is the time to visit Airs R Us. Take advantage of the low prices and cool your world with state-of-the-art, energy-efficient units by Lennox, Fujitsu, General Electric, and so much more. Airs R Us in the Scion Farm Commercial Center, 778-2477.
So what's the weather gonna be like tomorrow?
Another scorcher.
Great!
You know, I wasn't familiar with the podcast, to be honest, not familiar at all. But if I knew the man behind the camera, I would have said yes 3 times. You know what I mean? But, you know, I appreciate young people and trying to help them along the way. You know what I mean? It ain't about being in the way. I'm trying to help people get along.
And just to let you know, we all appreciate the love.
Respect.
So, from what I gathered, you started as a writer. I started first with the protests in UVI. That was when your first vocal. You would say journalism. What would you call that? That your first experience as far as that goes.
Well, I wouldn't say it was my first vocal. I in school I was like an outspoken class clown kind of guy.
Okay.
Always like riling up and creating hype. That was my thing.
Still your thing.
Still my
That's
thing.
what you do.
Right. Still my thing. Well, I was an athlete.
Okay. What you played? Everything?
Everything. Well, I was pretty good at baseball, pretty good at basketball. Later on in high school, good in soccer as a goalkeeper. But played some volleyball. That would probably be the least of my sports and flag football. But the things that I was good at were basketball and baseball. Nice. And, you know, I was influenced by a guy by the name of Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson went to St. Joseph as well. But while he was there, he was on radio. And he used to do this Freaky Friday thing where you call in and scream. And for me, like, I knew him. And it was amazing to me that this high school student is this guy who goes by the name of Big Johnson that I got a place turn up. And like, that opened my eyes to it without being, like, without knowing.
Weird.
Right.
Yeah.
And my father used to go to WSTX AM and talk sports with Chera Heiliger and Valmy. And growing up in the WSTX, the James family, being influenced by radio at a young age. Again, not realizing it was influencing me the way it was. But, you know, fast forward to now and it's here.
So you had the influences surrounding you, and that's funny because with Papi Pops, when we talked about when we're doing things, like when you're actually doing things, you don't realize what you're doing. Like you going, like when you reach the peak, and after you reach the peak and coming down is when you realize, yo, I did all of this. You know, but when you're in the moment, you didn't realize all these things going for you. And it's coming in, you're absorbing it like a sponge. So it's pretty cool to see that from a childhood, you had an exposure to it, not even knowing that throughout your life, this would be your bread and butter and how everybody would know you as.
For sure.
So when I was telling you behind the scenes is that I was talking to my dad, and my dad was like, "You going to do Rashidi?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, we used to watch him on TV." And I was like, "For real?" He's like, "Yeah, back then in the days, he used to cover all the parades and he used to be in all these things." Now, to be fair, what I know you from was from Sunstrokes promotion.
Right.
You know, and the basketball events you would have. And I remember Rashidi with the Hummer with the basketball court in the back. Like, I remember them thing. Like, that's when I was introduced to Rashidi. At that point, I had no idea. Now, how I tell you previously, you were involved in this for a very long time.
Yeah, man. You know, one day I come home from college and I see my father was like having like a receding hairline. And that day I realized I got cut all my hair off. And ever since then I've been looking young, you know what I mean? So that's like 3 decades ago. But
that's the secret. That's the secret. Because it's the same
secret.
face everybody will say you don't age and you've been there for a long time on the TV.
Yeah,
so,
I had, you know what I mean? I had my Super Track starter kit, but I didn't really like it.
So then moving forward to starting the foundation with Duncan and helping the whole Virgin Islands in a various of ways. How did that come about?
Well, so for a very long time, I've been a fan. I mean, that's a friend, but a fan. We from Catchings Rest together. And along the way, I saw the narratives, and I would be that vocal person that
Again.
would go to Facebook and defend whatever. And not just for him. Like I have defended people I didn't really know very well. I have intervened in situations on Facebook where I know this is my friend from West and this is my friend from East, and I go in both of them inbox and be like, yo, because I know where this could end up.
Yeah.
That's just always been my energy. But as far as that goes, I mean, we're childhood friends. We grew up in the same neighborhood. We play ball together. We play together on Man League. And, my dreams was to be an NBA player. So clearly I fall way short of that. I don't tell people all the time, I fail way more than I succeed in anything in life. But the ability to keep going is different.
I was just thinking that
You know
day in my
what I
brain
mean?
when you said that.
Most of us baseball, for example.
Yeah, I feel.
Yeah, well, I mean, but let me look at baseball. If I get out 7 out of 10 times, I could make it to the Hall of Fame if I hit 300 for my career.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So you kind of gotta, take things as what they are.
Yeah.
And when it really evolved was after the hurricane. We did the whole recovery effort, which is the largest individual recovery effort in the history of the Virgin Islands.
Which hurricane? Sorry.
Good question. Right. So, Maria.
Okay. Yeah, that was, oof.
Yeah. So if you ever saw the story where Tim says, my friend said he was going in the closet, that is me. And prior to the storm hitting, I was like, yo, if these storms going to be as bad as they say they are, like, we're going to need help.
Oh, so you're already ahead of it?
Yeah, I was ahead of it. And as I said that, like, he literally put the wheels in motion. So, excited you get when a FedEx package come.
Yeah.
Like, imagine when the whole plane is yours, like the whole FedEx plane, multiple times. It was a significant investment for the community.
For the island.
And, it kind of overlooked for whatever reason, but we've always been active in giving.
Yeah.
So when he realized like the work ethic, he was like, yo, you've been doing this kind of thing for me for the longest while, just on the strength. You know what I mean? Let me make this official. And since then we've done a significant amount.
Nice. I wanted to bring it out and give it a spotlight and the credit that it deserves, because like how you said, I feel like it goes a little under noticed because we can't planes.
Yeah.
Not boats. They ain't taking it. This is for now.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
And booking planes, filling these things up, bringing it down here, creating the events so everybody could come. Everybody got the equal share, volunteers. It takes a lot. Yeah. And to see that happen, right? I saw some pictures and stuff from that coverage, and I was like, yo, that's wild. In my brain, because because when we don't see it in the way of the expense, most people they study and all of that, or the manpower, or the hours,
the logistics volunteer. Of it was crazy.
People most people don't think on that. Right. They just think and give me my bag.
Right.
And that's what it's for. But I feel like it does go under under noticed, and I do wanted to shout out you guys, because I think that's something that I hope never stops, because when we need the help, it should be there, and when we don't need the help, we should be thanking for it. It's like God,
Right.
we shouldn't just be, oh God, when I broke my foot,
right.
So shout outs to you guys, giving y'all the flowers that y'all deserve for that effort.
Yeah, man.
We respect it a lot.
And then after that, you had COVID. At the time, the CEO of the hospital was like, yo, if this continues, we're gonna need oxygen. So we provided an oxygen generator.
Wow, you see that?
As it turns out, nobody ain't breathed a breath of oxygen off of that generator yet, but A quarter, $1 million spent, and they're sitting down something.
It's
But
incredible.
yeah, I mean, so again, but I was being proactive. Like that
Yeah.
was getting ahead of things that again, a lot of people don't even know these things exist.
Yeah. Cool stories. So now moving forward from that. Now again, I know you from Sunstrokes Promotion.
Right.
You did all those events back in the days. When did you decide now, right? Because you don't have your experience on TV. You had experience on radio. You had experience writing, daily news, all these things. When does Rashidi say, I feel comfortable enough to start what we all now know as vivid streaming? I call it the number one. I don't know if you don't say it, but I always say like the number one for St. Croix. The app, I mean, 70, almost 80,000 followers on Facebook. The downloads, like the views. You're dominating mass media for the VI.
Well,
You know?
I appreciate that, but I mean, I got great friends, man. Like I am influenced by amazing people all the time. Masai Harris win a Grammy.
Yeah.
For example.
Shout out to Masai.
Right? And if he were here, I would tell him.
No, but to be fair, not to interrupt, we did talk about that in the previous episode with AJ. So if you haven't seen it, go and check it out.
Yeah.
We did talk about the Grammy nominees and producers, and his name did come up. I didn't know who he was personally, but yeah, now I do.
Yeah, now you do. Right?
Look
Now
how
you
God
do.
works.
Yeah. So, but I said that to say, if you have a conversation with him, he hasn't arrived where his destination is. You know what I mean? He expects to be on another level.
Correct.
So a lot of people sometimes see me at a level of success that I don't appreciate yet because I know what my goals are. If I taking a trip to California, you still have to appreciate that you get to Miami
Yeah.
from the Virgin Islands. It's a long way. You ain't arrive at where you plan to be, but you can't discredit that portion of the journey.
Yes.
So right now I feel like I'm in Miami. You know what I mean? And what
Nice.
what I want to do for the Virgin Islands, this is only touching the surface. I feel like for example, again, I mentioned earlier, the things that we do is because I saw a void elsewhere. I actually got fired from 105 because I refused to tell a band they had to pay for an interview. And
That's wild.
my logic at the time was, we don't pay these artists royalties. I am not asking them to pay for an interview. The sales department can if they want. They were like, nah, you got to do it. And I was like, well, nah. And they was like, well, then today going to be your last day. I said, well, I guess today is my last day. So I've made those kind of sacrifices. Like a lot of people have said cool things to get likes on Facebook, and then they ain't really living their life. And similarly, when I was at I-95, I fell out because I noticed the other stations in the conglomerate for different demographics, the Sunny and the Mongoose demographic, they were getting trips to see Celine Dion. We were giving away Subway sandwiches.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, this is a
Mongoose.
disparity right here.
Yeah.
And kind of for like bringing that up, I kind of end up in the doghouse. But that's why vivid streaming gives away so many cool things. It's not because I got money. It's because this is how real radio works. If you go and listen to a station in the States, they're giving away $1,000 a day at some stations. It's just part of radio promo. And I feel like my listeners deserve the best. So we send people to see Bad Bunny. There's going to be a lot of Spanish stuff for a minute here, right?
Yeah.
Bad Bunny, Mark Anthony,
Romeo.
Romeo, Aventura. We're giving away Louis Fancy early in March. But we've also given away Rolling Loud and the other big one.
Welcome.
Right. So yeah, I say all of that to say that it's a platform to build VI artists. And ain't no specific thing. Ain't just what you and me like.
Yeah.
It's Virgin Islanders who have succeeded at every level in everything that we get to have great conversations with, and I think that's special.
Nice. So, how long has Vivid streaming been up and running now?
Well, truthfully, I wanted to do this with somebody who was very close to me, and at the time they said that, is too far ahead of its time, and that hurt.
I can imagine.
And I'm convinced it would have worked, but at that time, cell phone companies here weren't even offering unlimited data. So in reality, it was way ahead of its time. And that was 10 years ago. So in between there, you've had COVID, which totally destroyed the entertainment and advertising for shows. And then, of course, you had the hurricanes, which at one point we had to close because we had some damage and et cetera, and I had to focus on the Tim Duncan stuff. So it's been a long time, but now like we're hitting our stride and it feels good. But for me, I always looked at, and we've tried, and there's a lot of things that I've tried and failed. Like we've tried Creole programming where we get Haitians because in St. Thomas there's a large Haitian community.
Shout out to the people in Iraq, my bad man,
Yeah, for
Shout
sure.
out.
But we also got Spanish, a black or Spanish programming from 11 to 5 that's dope on Sundays.
Shout outs to Booty.
Yeah.
Noordbing, sorry.
Noordbing. And we actually going to Jos Van Dyke to perform for the New Year's Eve party. But I've always been about bringing those cultures together. DJ Willie used to be here back in the day, and I had an event like
Latin Tongue.
Kalaloo,
Yes, sir.
right.
Yes, sir.
So
my boy, sir.
at the time it was Luncheria and Club 54, and we had a party across the street. One was English, one was Spanish. Culture Lounge, we did the same thing, an English party inside, Spanish party outside. I just always wanted to bring our people together because I know we'd be much stronger together than apart. And that's what Vivid is about, the diaspora. Which I try to bring VI people the world over together.
Well, I must say, again, you're doing a great job. You have special guests. I just saw one where you on T-Run by a bakery, blessing people with bread. Yeah. And like,
okay, wait, no, for the record, right?
Okay,
T-Run got a lot more money than me. But it was good to have him come through and support the event.
Correct.
He didn't sponsor the event, but to work with a bakery that's owned by Virgin Islanders, and promote them, and it was a great, and that's not the first time we've done it either.
Nice.
But that's what we all about. That's what we want. Like, that's what we all about.
That's what I like to see. I'll be honest with you, and I'm sure you see in your verse reciprocated with the likes and the views that you got on it, because locals supporting locals.
That's how it's supposed to be.
It was awesome to see you supporting the business, Tiran supporting you and the business, and then now more locals coming to support the business, and now a butterfly effect goes down the road, and it's beautiful to see, man. And like how you said, the joining, I think we should see that a lot more because we already a small population. We can't afford to be divided.
Right.
We're already tiny. I
agree with that. You know what I mean? And sometimes we live in a generation where people don't want to be accountable. So if you've heard something about me in terms of, well, he had to work with, I expect you to do what you say you're going to do.
Amen.
And, I logic-based. So it's just a matter of being accountable. If I make a mistake, I can put my hand up and say my bad.
Yes, sir.
And just continue to elevate and grow. Just like you said, you didn't know Masai Harris.
Correct.
Right? To be honest, like, I didn't know of you.
Yeah.
So Paul Martinez reached out. He said, yo, this is a young dude. When he reached out to me, he must have been at episode 2. I was like, all right, but if Paul asked, and if this is a young guy who ain't used to sing, Or you know what I mean? Like ain't an artist trying to promote themselves.
Yeah, no,
Like
no.
your interest is this. I have
Yeah.
to support it in the inception. You know what I mean? I don't plan to be the one asking questions forever.
Yeah.
So you know, if this is a strength to you through a friend of mine, again, if I had known this man were behind the camera,
Yeah, that's the
I'd have
blessing
said
from
yes. I
above.
said 3 times before. I'd have said yes 5 times. You know what I mean? So
a good man.
So you know what I mean? That's somebody fueling you.
Yeah.
And that's what Valmy Thomas did for me. So that's being done to you.
Yeah.
And that's legendary stuff.
It is. The legend behind the scenes. I trying to get him to come on it, but you know,
Yeah.
eventually, man, eventually. He didn't even want to come out in as behind the scenes, nothing.
Yeah. Without doing nothing, the man just almost got a Damian Marley placement.
Oh, okay. yeah, for real.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? But and this, you know, this
Yeah.
is somebody whose story, when it's told, you're gonna realize like
Oh, yeah, there's
it's influential
influence.
for Masai Harris as well.
Listen, he had influences for Masai, for AJ. I have learned how much influence this man has in throughout his music journey. Just bringing guests here.
Right, but
Like,
the beauty of it
wild.
is that you didn't know. That mean he didn't tell you.
Yeah,
Right?
no.
So it was done humbly
Yeah.
and supporting you.
Yeah.
Maybe he's dibble and double in this aspect of it, but you know what I mean. Whatever reason he fueling your fire, I don't see you playing an instrument, which would have made more sense.
Yeah,
but,
no, I don't play.
but you know what I mean. This is beautiful to me, and I had no clue why we're walking in.
Yeah, so I just like to interview people that we know them, but we don't know like the stories or the journeys. And I feel like it's something that has gone very well so far. Like I started this in my next house, and it was the first guest. He
Move it
survived.
on up.
He survived a plane crash.
Okay, wow.
From Vegas Airlink back in the days.
Wow.
And it was a strictly Spanish one. And I remember telling Devin, I was like, man, I know I got Spanish. I got a good shout out to all you guys. I love you guys so much. I have a good Spanish following. And I said, man, I know I'm going to get a couple thousand views on the video. But like in the 24 hours, it got like 10,000 views organic. And I was like, whoa. And it's full Spanish. Yeah. So I was like, imagine if I got to do some
So that's
English.
why I asked Paul. I said, yo,
You know?
this podcast in English or what?
Exactly. So I was like, well, let me try some in English. And then Poppy Pops came on and he got 20. And
Nice.
Carlito and Rainy got like 50 in total.
Nice.
Like, so the numbers. And then Synchro is Facebook alone. So, you know, you got to cater to the crowd.
Yeah.
But now TikTok has been blowing up as well. So I've seen the reaction of people saying, well, what you doing? We like.
Yeah.
And now I feel like the door keeps opening up with every guest that I keep on having too.
Yeah.
And it's been a blessing. Again, I didn't know this man was going to be here. Paul, I love the man to death. That's my, but that's this man, like, when he's talking to me, Paul a little.
Yeah.
So I was like, Irie. And then when he messaged me a couple days ago and he was like, no, for real, bam, this day. I was like, wow, this is really
I
happening.
think it was supposed to be the 21st first, and then I couldn't. But
Things happen.
I like it was important to me. You know what I mean? Like I'm true to my word. You know, the thing is like I don't promise what I can't deliver.
Amen.
You know what I mean? And sometimes people have a perception that because I do things with Tim Duncan, I have his bank account. And that couldn't be further from the truth. When you mentioned the basketball games, when I did the first Hoop Classic, I did it, again, my life is about filling voids. When I did that, I had just come back from playing on scholarship basketball.
Okay.
And while away, I realized, like, if we had a legit all-star game, this would help players, and it's something that I didn't have when I was growing up. So when I came home, and we had the situation and I wasn't playing anymore, the first event that I did was a basketball game. The second event was the high school all-star game, and I was 2 years older than the oldest player in the game. And, I did that out of my pocket. Or maybe my parents helped me a little bit, I don't remember, but Tim Duncan didn't.
Yeah.
They were 10 years in before we got our first sponsorship from Tim. And then anybody could just look at life and apply logic and realize, you ever see Tim Duncan in a party? So what would make anybody believe that he is providing me funding for the party things that I'm doing? Like, it just don't make sense. So it was a lot of risk, a lot of sacrifice. I have lost a lot. I have lost girlfriends. I have lost everything in this journey and this sacrifice. I don't have children because in my mind I never had enough money to provide for children. And I just stay in this cycle of I jokingly tell people my equipment is my children because that's why I invested in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's been a sacrifice and it's not been easy. And as it grows, so does the opposition. You know what I mean? You try to kill it before it grows. So, you know what I mean? I had sports bars in St. Thomas, like the week that my sports bar was shut down, another bar opened down the road. Like, you know what I mean? So it's been real, like legitimate things that I should not have survived. I'm still here. And not like in a bad man way, like in a, like that should have taken me out. You know what I mean? Financially and otherwise. So I feel like, you know, even if this is the opportunity for people to realize, well, maybe this dude life ain't really a bed of roses and maybe he should get a little more credit than he does get. But I ain't doing none of this for credit. I'm more in debt than I have credit.
Yeah. That's how the sacrifices, like how you said, we talk about it a lot, and that's why I like to bring people on here, because a lot of people take a lot of risk.
Yeah.
Some people, it don't go right for them, and then they don't know how to move forward.
Right.
You know, so in a lot of occasions, like how I said, like Carlito, he suffered severe burns. You know, and from that, Carlito is now I don't call it the Tom Brady of barbering, because he won the biggest barber show in the world. You know, so for all you guys that watch this, just know and always keep in mind that if you have a roadblock, it's just a little obstacle. Get some elbow grease, keep marching forward. If things working out for you, keep going. Like, it's just open your eyes and do it. Just take a chance. Everybody does it. I've failed just like you many times. Many times.
Well, you look a little young to fail many
Trust
times.
me,
But yeah.
I've done so much. And I've failed. And like how you said, now you feel like you're there in Miami. I could have related to that so much when you said that, because now I could feel like I feel like I'm on the plane right there. I'm about to land. You know? And
well, I feel like you're about to take off because, I mean, you know, if I was guest number 6...
Oh, no, sorry, not with this. I mean with my life personally.
Yeah, but this is where you're going to take off. You know what I mean? Like, if and again, like, none of the stuff that I doing did I set out to do. You know what I mean? I Mike Johnson has done work for Ludacris, the voice of BET promos, MTV, superstar voiceover talent. I went to visit him in Atlanta and did an interview by his house. And he showed me a clip of me in high school at a TV production program with Brother James. And I was stuttering, and I was like, I used to stutter? I didn't even know I used to stutter. I was like, what? So to see that growth, you know what I mean? That's 6 episodes in, I would have probably still been talking to nobody ever heard of. The names that you just mentioned is dope, bro.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know a lot of people through my artist career when I was Jack Wallapauta and all of that stuff. So I have a lot of, I know a ton of people, but I don't know you. You know, like, I don't have your phone number to be like, hey, Rashidi. And to be fair, when I mentioned to a couple people, everybody was like, yo, you get this man to come on. To be fair, I said, it's not me. I'm going to be honest. I did not get Rashidi to come on. Like we saw, our mutual friend, Paul, is somebody who hooked it up. And I'm very grateful for it, because now I don't know, more doors going to open up just because of this simple sit down that you blessed me with.
No, man. Well, like, good people gravitate towards good people. You know what I mean? So I know Paul won't put me in a situation with foolishness. I pick up my side on a whole different beat. And he's like, I could ride with you. I was like, okay, that's the kind of like, and I don't take those things for granted. Like that is the kind of blessings. Like I have to point at my wall because every now and again, you know, hit these obstacles. And for anybody, like I used to think a lot of the things that I doing now were foolishness. Like when I used to walk in people's house and I see a word on the wall, I was like, yo, what? Dealing with. But like now, when I see gratitude on my wall, like I know, like okay, if I look to the right and I could see, this is another good example. Before I moved my studio to a much nicer location in St. Thomas, I didn't have any walls. I mean, I didn't have any windows for 8 years. Like I was in a house with no windows for 8 years, and I didn't realize the effect it had on me until I moved into a house that had a window, and I was like, "Yo," you know what I mean? And it contributed to the darkness that I was feeling at the time. And if my landlord did not do what he said he wasn't going to do, which is he took me on this hill, we don't still talk, so I know when he see this at some point he'll be like, "Yo," he took me on a hill and he's like, "Yo. See that there over there? I'm building this and I'm turning it into an Airbnb." And I said, "Hey, as long as you don't turn my apartment into an Airbnb." "No, man, not you. You ain't got to worry about that." 2 months later.
2 months later.
It was an Airbnb and it was time for me to move.
Time to go.
So, you know what I mean? People look at it and like, but I put myself in a position where it was like, yo, I can't have this studio. That's very nice. I had third world in. So in the house wasn't no fancy house. Third wall is my guest, right? The legendary third wall. That man come into this very unimpressive house. And nobody looks like they want to be there. Then we open the wood studio door and they walk in. And the keyboard man for third wall walk in the studio and say, "This in a this." And next week I think I'm interviewing Todd Wall again.
Hey.
You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? Like
Life
again, the
cycles.
journey.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Beautiful.
in that moment you kind of feel embarrassed.
Yeah.
But you know, to see how far I've come, but I still got a far way to go.
Well,
I mean,
for us, that's from the outside looking in, you're doing a great job.
hey, thanks, man. I
You
mean,
know, you're doing a great job. We see what you're doing. We see the grind that you're doing. We see everybody that you're supporting, from individuals to businesses, from island to island. We see all the interconnections that you're trying to do, and we are supporting it. If y'all ain't have it yet, go check out Vivid Streaming, the app. Booty, he was like, "Can I please just say this one thing?" And then he shouted out Vivid Streaming and he said what he had to say. And I was like, of course, you know?
yeah, man. I mean, the pride that he displays in being a part of Vivid Streaming is special. But we're doing special things, if we still be honest.
I saw a clip of y'all like a Santa Claus in Kmart or in one of these businesses. Yeah. Santa Claus had moves, man.
Yeah. Santa was getting down for sure.
So if y'all haven't seen all the content, please go check it out. I'm more than likely you guys have, but my Puerto Rican people them that have Vieques, Puerto Rico, go and check it out. It's crazy.
11 to 5, Vieques, Puerto Rico, Culebra, I could say it, I promise. 11 to 5 on Sunday, Domingo is all Spanish programming and it's dope.
And when I found out Anna was on there too, that's
so
cool.
Anna,
Legend.
I started Vivid with Anna. Like Anna is like the la madrina of Vivid Streaming.
Nice.
You know, and along the way, like again, a long journey, you know what I mean? But to tear down the studio and build the studio back every time is like $10,000.
Yeah.
Like that ain't a flex and no, he got money, see what I mean? No, but
don't clip this.
I couldn't put myself in a position where I renting again and then my landlord is like, "Hey, my mother's sick. I gotta move her into this room." So I had to take that step to put myself in a position where, okay, I at least sturdy. And it's a geographical decision. Like if you look at the guests that we get, Todd Wall is going to Jos Van Dyke. they got
Oh,
stuck
yeah,
in
go-
St. Thomas. So like it wasn't a haphazard thinking. It was like, yeah, when these big artists come to St. Thomas and Tatola and Virgin Gada and Joseph Van Dyke, they gotta come through St. Thomas. So I need a space in St. Thomas. And that was the logic behind of it.
Smart logic.
It won't like somebody tell me the other day. I was at an event broadcasting this event for free. And the person on the mic said, "Oh, Rashidi, Daya, he gave up on us." I said, "But where you seeing me to say that? You ain't see me in St. Croix to say what you just said." I mean, so it's a weird perspective we don't have sometimes.
Sometimes I know exactly what you mean, but again, from the outside looking in, the people see that and they have this certain mentality. I guess. So this is why I'm very happy that you came here on the couch, and you talking like us.
Yeah, man. I don't only talk like us.
We regular people.
In real life, I don't cuss a lot.
We got the death. We got everything going on. Like everything isn't just peaches and apples, and everything ain't just nice and gloomy. And that's why I like to do the podcast, because a lot of people tend to halt and tend to stop when they see that, oh, my life, the comparison, oh, my life isn't good, and comparing lives. Everybody life ain't like what you think it is. Trust me, they don't be posting the bad stuff on Facebook. They only posting the good stuff. Yeah. So take away anything that you can from this podcast is that we all go through bad stuff. And this is why I based it on. But when we bring people like Rashidi, Rainy, Papi Pops, and y'all hear the story now it kind of like hits them in the face, like, oh wow, no, yo, I lost a child as well, and look how Booty's moving forward in life. Oh, I had a stroke, and I know some people that had some strokes, and they have a hard time trying to get back into the cycle of life again. Bring Papi Pops on here. Papi Pops call me. He's like, Jack, you know what people call me, man?
Yeah, man.
He's
That's a good example because of situations like that, I become more cognizant of my stress level. And I start to think about things differently. So stories like that mean something.
Yeah, me myself, watching them thing, like how I said on the podcast, I'm such a pendejo when it comes to the health thing. No joke, like any little thing I go in, the doctor will be like, man, you all right? I'll be like, I don't feel like I'm okay. I feel like we should do some x-rays. Like we should just get something checked. Like just put my mind at ease. Even if I'm okay, just put my mind at ease. I'll pay. I get insurance. Don't worry. I
respect that.
And to be fair, I'm not waiting for some x-ray results. but it's that again, like how you said, being exposed to others. Like how your parents will tell you, learn, if you listen, you can learn, instead of having to pass through it. So listening to learning through people's journeys definitely has made me, don't do that. Don't go there. Avoid that. you know?
Man.
So
yeah, man. I mean, I like this opportunity because, sometimes if I tell you, if I would go out, like you say, on Facebook, if I tell people how bad my life is, they think I lying. If I tell them how good my life is, they think I bragging. You know what I mean? So, but it's all a mix. Like those two things could be true. So, we just got to be true to ourselves.
Amen, man. Well, you have any last words to say? 'Cause I know you're a busy man and you have to go up the road, but that's the camera for you there. If you want to address the crowd.
Yeah, man. I feel like my work ethic is a little different too. And I've been blessed to be among some like-minded individuals, and your peer group will help determine where you end up. If I build a shack next to a mansion, my property value goes up. So, I just be mindful of your surroundings, the friends that you keep, and if you elevate, help somebody behind you up. You know what I mean? I have seen some people who have had dark pasts or started in who have evolved into these, they have a great business acumen. So don't judge books by the cover. A lot of the things that I do in the community is because I met a young man at YRC He was the smartest dude that I could recall speaking to in front of a school setting. He said, I was speaking with the delegate to Congress at the time, Donna Christensen. He said, I want to ask you guys to do some youth jobs, youth employment. Because if I go to get a job, he said, Pueblo at the time, they're going to say I'm too young to work. If I go to the man on the corner, I ain't never too young to work.
Yeah, it won't.
Fast forward, I went to speak to Golden Grove. I see the same young man in there. So along the way, like I have the things that I do in speaking to young people and opportunities like this, I feel like it's important because that young man was brilliant. You know what I mean? And it's just a matter of opportunities and circumstance. So if you could do better, do better. That's it.
Let's go, man. Help one another. Well, Rashidi, I want to thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been a blessing to have you on here.
Download the Vivid Streaming app. I should have said that, right?
Yeah. Download the Vivid Streaming. We'll put a link on there.
Like the Facebook page too.
Definitely. Get to 100,000 likes. We could do this, man. That's crazy.
Come on.
It's been nice to have you here, man. It's good to hear all these stories. Not having that personality, that having a real part of you talking from within. I think a lot of people, like, I think Rainy, I think a lot of people will see you in a different kind of light after this.
Yeah, man. Well, I hope so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my uncle. Like, my uncle was one of the national top-selling radio salesmen in America. Like, used to make radio magazines as one of the top salesmen in the country. So, the first Badman whip, first BMW I ever ride in, the first house with a pool, like that was my inspiration. And then, but even so, you see different things, like where he come back home and started the first jazz festival with the same year as St. Lucia, and we didn't get the support, so it kind of dissolved, and then St. Kitts and St. Lucia on this uptick. But so I saw both sides of it. I see what inspired me, and I saw the things that should have cautioned me as well. But I lose my uncle like last year, and it'd be a blessing if I could fulfill some of his goals, because this is what he wanted. He really wanted to come home and give back home and be a productive member of the Virgin Islands community. And I had great parents too that really guided me along the way. And again, I mentioned giving up and sacrifice. I had a job at the legislature at one point. And I was done, and I had to sell that same Hummer that you mentioned. And I used to walk from the legislature to the house and studio in Frenchtown. And one day I was walking on the waterfront apron, and I walk in, and I like, man, like, this is not it. And I feel like I was at the give up point. And I walking past a boat for Native Son, and for whatever reason, my friends at Native Son, and they are my friends, right just above the water level at the back of the boat, says, never give up. And in that moment, at that time, I just see that part of the boat raise up, and I was like, okay. And I've had 25 reasons to give up since then, but I'm still going.
We still going.
I mean? But yeah.
You asked for a sign, and God showed you that sign, man. Yeah. Never give up.
Well, I didn't even ask for it. That's why I really appreciate the sign. You know what I mean? So.
He know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like today has been a one of those mystical moments.
Very mystical.
Just
Vieques, get ready. We're going to do the Vieques podcast. Y'all don't know already. Podcast edition for Vieques coming soon.
Going Vieques?
Thank you guys so much for the opportunities. We're going to see y'all over there soon.
Vieques?
We're going Vieques, man. We're going to be doing this thing.
Vieques?
Let's go. Love that place. All right, y'all.
Mueve ese cuerpo así como a mí me gusta. Esta noche, baby, te quiero pa' mí. Baby, te quiero sentir. Tú dime si tú estás pa' mí. Pa' mí, pa' mí. Baby, te quiero pa' mí. Baby, te quiero sentir. Tú dime si tú estás noche. Chaco, la pauta. Y-A-K-O. Sabe boy. From the VI, from the VI. From the VI to the world. Flow. Yes. Oye, dímelo Jota. The Movie Maker. La Pauta Records.